So the track you're hearing is a favourite of mine, and actually I listened to everything Oliver Cheetham made after this because I was genuinely surprised by the style of music that he made and just how good it sounds. It's just aged well as well. Like, you don't hear music like this anymore. It's actually really good. So you might recognise this song, and there's a reason I haven't said the name yet, because there is a remix of it that you're probably familiar with if you were in the UK, listened to radio between the 2000s and later on. And that's because it is a remix of this Oliver Cheetham song. Also, rest in peace. Like, so sad to lose talent like this. It's just, Anyway, so this song was originally covered by Room 5. It's called Make Love. And you can hear a lot of similarities. The chord progression, certainly some of the notes too. And yeah, it's basically just a remix. I make love or listen to the music. I'll admit, it's not my favourite version after hearing obviously the original. The original is called Get Down Saturday Night. What is it? Get Down Saturday Night, yes. I thought I misremembered that for a second. I was not doubting myself. Is it wrong? No. So yeah, I love this track. It is incredible. So it starts out soft and stuff. They got this amazing synth track. The percussion is pretty good. The brass as well, whenever that appears. It's just a lot of detail in this, and even the vocals are just really impressive. They start out quite sort of chill and relaxed, and then all of it just goes really fucking high pitched, which is insane as well. Yeah, and it basically just gives off this feel good vibe about, I would say like celebration, but it kind of is sort of celebratory, I guess, that type of music. And if that's even a sort of genre or subgenre, it reminds me a bit of like Earth, Wind and Fire, I suppose. Yeah, like there isn't much to say on this track. The instrumental's very good, vocals very good, composition obviously amazing. I'm in love with that synth sound. It's so good that I did some research and tried to find it, and I couldn't exactly find it because I wanted to sort of mimic it. And I think the closest I got was like some random VST plugins that didn't actually have that for some reason. But it seemed to have been recorded on a old school piano, a Roland I think it was. That's where that amazing synth comes from. I don't think I've ever heard a synth quite like it. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, I do recommend listening to Oliver Cheetham if you liked even the Room 5 cover, or just this track in general. It's just incredible. There needs to be more people listening to Oliver Cheetham. It's just such an underrated artist. That should go without saying, but literally he is. So, yeah, let's move on to the life tip, I guess. Life hack, what do I have? Don't know yet. So this life tip hack thing might be stupid, but you'll see if it is or not. It really depends. If you live in a house that has stairs, obviously, or somewhere that just has stairs, I think one of the best piece of advice I have as someone who's been on short stairs and just overly long stairs is never to lean forward. And the other thing with that is to always make sure you lean backwards. Because the biggest problem, even when carrying things, is you can easily tip yourself up and just fall down the fucking stairs. And that'll just cause horrific injuries or even death. And let's be honest, nobody wants that. At least, I don't. Or do I? Now, that's a conundrum. But in all seriousness, you do need to be careful. Because I do hear sometimes of people just falling down the stairs. It's happened to me a few times even then. And when I was writing this tip, I think I this was like over 3 or 4 years ago, and I'd fallen down the stairs from just being too quick. I just really slipped on it somehow, even though it wasn't actually like wood. It wasn't a slip material. So it just happened. And it just came really unexpectedly. It hurt my arse, but that's the better alternative than falling forwards, face down, or breaking your arm or something. It's better to fall on your arse, I think, and that's generally a good way to go about it. But yeah, some people don't even know that, and that's crazy to me. But yeah, that's for them people, I guess, if they can even listen, that is. So let's move on. So, we've got a weird topic. What's Final Fantasy XIV is Tower of Amazements. Yeah, I thought about this last night because I put on a playlist, and it was a jazz guitar playlist, which is sort of enjoyable. It's a bit repetitive at times. And also, I don't know if these are fucking AI. It's not easy to find if they are, and I have looked for like artifacts in even like the video footage they use for this, which seems to be like real life sort of footage things going on. I can't really see many issues with it, but this was like 2 years ago, and it's not like the AI we see today, so I don't know how to say. But one of the comments that took my interest, because there seems to be like an AI generated comment section, which is also very fucking suspicious. But one of them was commenting this old fucking debate about speed versus skill in terms of guitar playing. And it just reminded me of like where I am and where I stand with that sort of thing, with obviously speed versus skill. And given that I am a guitarist but I don't know much music theory, I could probably give some thoughts on that. And to me, speed playing isn't the most impressive thing, as you got like really fast 16ths or even 30 seconds in some insane cases in metal songs. But that's like spamming one note. On the other hand, you've got the speed playing where you're going through a scale very fast, and that in itself takes a lot of fucking skill. I can't even do that, even in like 12 years into my guitar journey at this point. Actually, it's more like 11 years, not 12. But still, it's a difficult thing to master. I didn't expect guitar to be that hard, and I am going to pick up a keyboard at some point, if I can find one. I'm going to try that. But yes, speed is often a very subjective topic. And I think in some cases it can be good, it can be useful. And I think some of the best cases I've seen of that probably are like certain guitar solos or certain sort of artists. Like I'm thinking of like Tim Henson and Polyphia, who can also play pretty damn fast within these scales and these sort of notes. And the way you could just jump from one end of the fretboard to the other is just, that is insane. Animals as leaders, and Tosin Abasi, you can have moments and arrangements like that. Trying to think of who else. I think John Petrucci technically, same thing. Trying to think of like lesser known artists like Guthrie Govan, maybe? Well, I've only heard the Erotic Cakes album, which is amazing, by the way. Yeah, there's some really good playing on that, but some fast playing too, which is fascinating. I can't really think of many others. But then there's someone like Steve Vai, who literally incorporates the two, like skill and speed, and literally makes some of the most beautiful fucking arrangements there ever was. And that's certainly an interesting aspect to it, I think. Because you don't really see many of that sort of thing. So yeah, like my thoughts on it, just simply put, is it can be used well, but other times it's a bit repetitive. I think shredding is a also a very niche thing, and I think starting out as a guitarist is sort of one of the things you want to learn first, because one, it's probably easier to learn, and two, it does sound good in some cases. In terms of a jazz setting, I don't know. I haven't heard many jazz guitars other than like Ian Carr and Nucleus. I'm trying to think of others, but I can't think of any. Yeah, so I think it's alright, really. I think speed playing is a good way to start, but it shouldn't be the end goal. I think instead of learning how to play fast, you should be learning how to play melodically, and that's one of the big issues I see with modern metal as a whole, in my opinion. Because as much as I like certain modern metal groups and songs, the biggest problem for me is that, really. It's the fact that they prioritise speed over melodies, over actual writing. So I could just go through all these like nonsense scales and make absolutely nothing meaningful in that. You know, it sort of reminds me of like the difference between Bring Me the Horizon to current, which the old stuff rather, is actually pretty insane. It's pretty good. But some of the newer stuff doesn't reach that peak, and yeah, you can see the difference when you listen to them back to back, like something like Kool-Aid versus Tell Slater to Wash His Dick. So, yeah. I'm not sure what else to say on this, really. Again, can be incorporated well, but other times not so well. So that's my thoughts on it. So, I'm watching the South Park again. It's been years since I've seen it, like, talking back in childhood, probably. When I was about 12, 13, when I first saw it and watched it. Because we had a DVD set at home, and you know, I've pretty much seen everything on the DVD sets, like Simpsons and Family Guy, eventually Father Ted and stuff. And you know, there's a lot of shows that I watched that also weren't appropriate for children, but who gives a shit? I didn't understand it, so it doesn't bother me. But yeah, Final Fantasy XIV. Imagine playing that as a child. That'd be insane. The real thing I think with that is, yeah, South Park was just something to watch, and I sort of got into it from the art style, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Like, obviously it's 2D animated sprites and stuff. I'm not sure if that was the initial reason, but anyway, we had a DVD set, I reckon. I remember it anyway. Yeah, I sort of watched all that. It interested me, because it was a cartoon, and I like cartoons, if you can tell. So it's been a long time, and I do remember bits and bobs from it. I remember very bizarre episodes, like Mr. Garrison transitioning into Mrs. Garrison. I remember the episode with the testicles in the knees. God. And also the bouncy testicular cancer thing. Fucking hell. It's just insane. It's a bunch of insane goodness. I've seen some of the movies as well. It's been a very long time. And I've just watched the first two pilots and the first episode. Yeah, I got some things to say on that. I do think that it's actually really good so far. I'm surprised. It aged well too, which is certainly a bonus. Because I know some of the later episodes don't age well, these did somehow. And sort of made light of darker situations, which is sort of the gimmick of South Park anyway. You know, fucking... I actually don't know how old they are. Like Eric and the others, or pretty much just not high school. Like, they complain about the 5th graders who are taller. So I guess in like a few grades below. So I'm not sure. That's just kind of the insane thing, that it's like, it's such a gimmick that hasn't really been done before. I don't think anyway. What else? No, but I think I'll go into like the contents of the episode, so not fully, but worth watching actually. The pilots were rough to start with. The first one was pretty rough, the second one was also rough. Not well animated, but it's to be expected, I think. But it gives you a very good idea of what South Park is about. And for some reason, Eric was Kenny in the beginning. I don't know why. It literally said after Eric had been killed, oh my god, they killed Kenny. So no idea what that's about. Yeah, the first episode is where Eric was abducted by aliens supposedly, and then Ike gets abducted by aliens. Yeah, I suppose it all aged well. Also has some dark implications, I just realised. What the fuck? But it has a really good sense of humour. Because I was a bit worried about going into it thinking that, oh, they're just a bunch of kids swearing and talking about dildos for some reason. But no, it's actually more than that. Literally a good sense of humour. I've written quite a few notes on this episode alone. What's the dildo? The transition from talking about alien visitors to chef appearing. God. Obviously, that doesn't age well if you know what that means, but yeah, that's just fucking crazy. They used to obviously call a lot of I'm not sure the term for it, immigrants. I don't know if chef is an immigrant, that's the thing. So it's called immigrants illegal aliens, obviously, and that hasn't aged well. I forgot about a character called Crabtree, he's the bus driver. Whatever, you fat bitch. What did you say? I said I had a bad itch. It's just clever sense of humour. There's nothing unusual. Cows turn themselves inside out all the time. Ton of characters in this. What is it now? Another prostate tumour. Why don't we talk to the children about Mr. Clump's uterus? What the fuck? Oh. That is so funny. Fucking hell. Yeah, the small reference. I wonder if the walls would stand small and windy. Because I swear that seems familiar. It reminds me a bit of, I guess, that show Peanuts, is it? Or Snoopy? I don't know, I can't remember what it's called actually. That's crazy. Yeah, I'll only talk about that anyway. So there's more to the episode, but it's actually really good. I'm genuinely surprised by it because I really wasn't expecting much, and then just blew it out of the park. They blew up a park, maybe. That's the sort of sense of humour there. Yeah. Quite looking forward to seeing the later series and episodes and the movies as well. I'm going by a watch order from Reddit user called Malavacious, who listed the release order, which is going to save me a lot of time. So season 1, season 2, and then Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Interesting name. Season 3 to season 24. Then the post-COVID specials, season 25, Streaming Wars, season 26, Pandaverse. I somewhat remember Pandaverse for some reason. I don't know why that's in my memory. When was that even released? And then it's NS4C nowadays, and then End of Obesity. Yeah, it was pretty much up to date after that. Yeah, it's aged crazy well. I'm surprised. Anyway, I'll probably update people on that in later episodes. That's where I am in it and what my thoughts are. If there are some bad episodes, obviously there might be. Sort of goes without saying, but at certain points it's also something that you don't really like. That's the weird thing with South Park. On one hand, it has good representation because I saw this video on disability in South Park in terms of how it's represented. And literally the video said, the person in the video said it is one of the best representations of disability like ever, period. And I do have to agree with that. even though it's sort of mocking in some ways, it is genuinely amazing. Like characters like Timmy and is it Jimmy? Oh, they have Timmy and Jimmy. Just noticed that. Yeah, it's aged surprisingly well, considering. And yeah, it's definitely commendable for sure, but I know there's areas where it hasn't aged well, like Mr. Slave, I remember, very fucking stereotypical, horny gay man. So, definitely hasn't aged well. Trying to think, is there anyone else? Can't remember. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to the series with enough. So we got that and move on to the next topic. I know one other thing that's ruined Fortnite for me. The inclusion of celebrity skins. Why? Just why? It's a fucking atrocity. Like, why? There is nobody in this world worth being put in a fucking game like that. It's absolutely insane to me. Even the nicest people, I don't think should be in game like that. Holy shit, just why? They've added like Kim Kardashian, I wouldn't count like fictional characters like the Gorillas guys, because it's obviously fictional. They're pretty detached from the artist, I suppose. It's more like, I don't know, like, it's just fictional, isn't it? But the thing for me is just celebrity inclusion. Like, unless it's a fictional character played by a celebrity like Terminator, which is generally okay, I just don't agree with it. And for anyone who's unaware, I'm not actually that convinced or even into celebrities, because as we know from experience, it's just a slippery slope fallacy constantly. There is no one who's ever so good as a celebrity that they deserve this sort of status where they should be regarded as good people. That's just why, hence, people like Mr. Beast of philanthropists, it doesn't really seem to be a thing anymore. That's why it's still not great. I still think it's an issue. Yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning for not even wanting to touch Fortnite again. Adding celebrities. And admittedly, as a Simpsons update is kind of funny. Like the celebrity thing is just like, fuck off. Why? Like, I do not give a shit. Like, Kim Kardashian is added to it. Why? Like, how is she even still popular? That's what my first question. Second of all, how? Like, why is she in this game? Like, you sort of go into this debate topic about, oh, who do we include and who don't we, and instead of putting people on a pedestal in this game, like, didn't they have fucking Nicki Minaj, who's turned out to be a Margo Doxic? Yeah, Doxic, let's go for that. And yeah, not aged well because of that. Like, what the fuck? And you know, if we're talking about celebrities, decent people who should be in that, what about David Attenborough? What about even lesser known people? Like, I'm trying to think. Right, the founder of Viva charity, let's say, just throwing a random person out there. But someone who's done charitable work. Like, it just goes into that topic. It's not a matter of who fits in. Kim Kardashian doesn't fit in. Nicki Minaj doesn't fit in there. So again, if we're talking about adding people, why not these people? It's always a fucking slippery slope. And you know, with fictional characters you can get like the legal issues and stuff. With people, it's like they're almost becoming a product themselves as well. So we've got this moral dilemma of people just becoming products. And it's like Kim Kardashian, her existence in this. You know, it's not good. It's not good behaviour. It's not even a good thing to even sort of look up to, look towards. Just so many things wrong with it. So I can't really accept that. There's just no point. It's just fucking absolutely stupid. I don't know what to add. And you know, if we're adding celebrities again, like YOGSCAST, like probably a worse example, but what if you add like Blue Zephos and Honeydew? But suddenly it's okay because they're fictional characters, or for the most part anyway. But you know, these things won't age well either. As I said, Nicki Minaj supposedly added to Fortnite. She turned out to be the Marga duck sicker, so like, fuck me. This is why you don't add people to games. Clearly, whoever's running Fortnite had no fucking clue what happened to Blizzard, and probably supports it. Let's be honest. That's what this just tells me. Because there's no way you'd add like people to this knowing that full well they could be corrupt, or they could be just whatever. They could be fucked in the head. That's why it's so dangerous as well. I do not like celebrity worship for that reason. It's because nobody's ever your friend. Most celebrities who especially make it in the world, like make money and become famous, you know, they just end up becoming douchebags sometimes. They just misuse that power. And it sort of goes into a hypothetical, like, what if I was added to it somehow? Added to Fortnite or something. Then I wouldn't agree with it. I'd turn down the offer. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want anything like that. Maybe add music, but I wouldn't want anything to do with me in Fortnite. So, yeah. But I think that's part of where it's corruptible, where people are corruptible rather. Just knowing that they can get away with these things, and also it's just greed. There's a lot of it, and when people get this fucking hero worship online for doing absolutely nothing, it's even more bad. There's so many people who just are not deserving of celebrity status or even worship. But then we shouldn't be worshipping anyone at all. You know, it completely goes against my ideals, it goes against many other people's ideals as well, even though they don't realise it. So, yeah, just fuck this game really. It's absolute garbage. I don't know how people can get sponsored by it, unless there's like a ton of money, but yeah, fuck it. So I was watching Jesse Cox live stream last night, streaming the 7.4 MSQ, and yeah, there was something brought up that was just no doubt controversial and a bit frustrating to hear as well. Because there is this common sentiment anyway, I think, in the community, at least I've seen it myself, where the MSQ was very underwhelming this patch. It's not a case of like it's just a bit underwhelming. It was. And so people are disappointed with the fact that, well, I have this analogy for it which I'll go into now. You know, you start with like a great anime, for example, and you finish it and it finishes great too. But then you tune into this obviously big patch, and it's like your Saturday morning Pokemon, basically. A Pokemon anime, which I've been watching recently. It's very fun. But there is a problem. And it's one of those episodes where it's just underbaked and nothing happens. And it's just absolutely pointless. That's exactly what I feel here. It's like being given some great series that I've just finished to move on to one that's not so great. And I think that's an important point. It's not the worst, but it's not great. And that's how I feel about Dawntrail as a story, anyway. Because it is literally like being thrown from, again, almost masterpiece to something that's just quite amateurish. And Jessica was saying that it was an overreaction towards this expansion that people had. and specifically the MSQ, and this is overly dramatic. I have to disagree, that's to be said. Because where I'm coming from, I just finished Endwalker, and I moved on to Dawntrail within like the next few weeks, after I finished all the Endwalker content. And that demonstrated to me that Endwalker was just incredible. Everything about it was just good. And then I moved on to Dawntrail, and it's like, oh, okay, suddenly it's not as great. The class design certainly is a bit better here, but I'd say everything else is a bit lackluster. So part 1 of Dawntrail, there are quite a few issues in the story. I think my main issue was that it just didn't have a very good direction. And because of it, it chose a serious direction rather than, oh, let's just be all comedic this expansion. Which I would have been happy with. I would have loved that sort of fucking Pokemon Saturday morning vibe, very much. You know, Black Roger literally feels like Team Rocket at times. But other times he seems very fucking evil. And that's where we get the first problem. He was designed to be as much of an arsehole as possible. And they decided to stick with that right until the end of part 1. Where they decided, no, he's not a bad guy after all. What the fuck? Like, why? Like, it's just absolutely insane. It's insanely stupid. There was no reason to do that. And I do not understand why they did it. Like, I would have preferred if they did something else with him. If they maybe kept him bad, but gave him like a redemption over time. But no, it's just like a son thing. And that just didn't help. On the other hand, I liked the Climate side of the story. In some terms anyway, not all of it though. Climate certainly is a good character. But I don't think she's the best character. And that demonstrates some issues. I think the main one for me is that she's obviously here trying to become the leader of, well, Tullial, whatever this place is called, I can't remember actually. I know it's Tullial because I teleport there all the time, but trying to figure out the whole continent. But anyway, it demonstrates so many problems, and just everything leading up to that point just made it feel just underbaked. I remember going through the quests the first time and thinking, like, what the fuck is going on? Are we just collecting gym badges at this point? Literally what it feels like. Like, that's why I sort of refer to it as like a bad Pokemon episode. Literally just feels that way. Like, constantly. And the only interesting parts that we got took place in some of the other continents, where there was like lore about this big war between obviously the species living here, or races rather, not species, but everyone's the same species technically, and the people and everyone else that's just coming in from out of nowhere. Good enough, all the parallels like the UK situation. Yeah, and I like that. Like, it's not the most amazing writing, but it's certainly good. And then later on, we also see Climate confronting a Mamulja about sort of these social norms that have become so normalised, like the twin-headed Mamulja, I think they're called. I can't remember if they're called Mamulja or what. They have such similar names, which is the other problem. Their names are so bad. It's impossible to memorise them. I can't even remember the other guy. There's a Lulja, I think I was referring to as the two-headed one. I think, anyway, there's a little, let me just look it up. Lulja. No, that's the bad guy. Okay, it is Bakulja. Yeah. So, there's this moment where they confront Bakulja's past and existence. And the existence is quite terrifying. Obviously with that low sort of a survival rate thing, only 1 in every 100 essentially being or surviving, and essentially squandering their existence or they are, and that's just causing many problems. So there was this discussion with the people that work on that, which I still remember, about equality, and so that's one of the best lines in the game. It's put very well. It felt very heartfelt as well, even to me. It's quite hard to move me sometimes with speeches like that, but it did. It just fucking works. Yeah, that was sort of the end of part 2, and then welcome up part 1. I mean, welcome up became leader, and yeah, everything was seemingly fine. And then it turns out we have to go to somewhere else. We have to go to Shaoloni, and we have to figure out what's going on there, which is also where we meet the other science, which is a bit annoying because pretty much all the science were with us to that point, but and then there's an alien invasion. Like, you do all this story in that fucking place for essentially nothing, and then this alien invasion comes. Like, it's the same thing as part 1. You do this pointless story up to this point, and you don't even need to know. Sorry about my voice. You know, you do this like completely pointless story to an extent, and you get this weird fucking twist with it being all sci-fi, and I am quite mixed on it still. I don't outright hate it, but I don't outright like it either. Because going back to like Norwood and even just Endwalker with the Ragnarok, and even Loprit, you know, they're sci-fi. But there is a fantasy element baked in. Whereas with the sci-fi element meeting obviously fantasy, it's just like it's like putting ketchup in Coca-Cola or something, or I don't know, like orange juice. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Those don't go together, at least as far as I know. But like, you're adding just stuff to something that worked. And like the Wild West theme would have worked in this setting, and I would have been happy with that. The problem is they went too far, and they did sci-fi. Just complete sci-fi, not like partial like we've seen before. Just complete sci-fi, and that just fucking ruined it for me. It's like, oh, great. And even though I have contention with like the soundtrack and stuff, believe it or not, yeah, I know, shocker. Biggest problem with the soundtrack in at least the in Solution 9 is it's just got this really crappy trap beat and bass. Like, God, it reminds me of living near a main road and just being fucking terrorised by all that noise. It's so bad. Like, I wish I could mute certain areas. That'd be so handy. That'd be the first thing I mute. Literally. Like, fuck it. It is bad. Anyway. So obviously we're on part 3 by now if you haven't figured out. Just, it's incredibly frustrating. And this is, like, there's even more problems here. Because we go into the story about Queen Yikes and obviously Zalulja, who is the bad guy of this expansion, who has abandoned a child as well, who he created, or created, but seemingly in a dark way. Yeah, the story just got really bad, and then Zalulja betrayed us, and then suddenly she's our friend. Like, what the fuck? I get that we might have some favourite characters, but why the hell are we doing this? It's so stupid. It's just not very good. It's not creative. I do not understand it. Why the fuck are you doing this? I just do not understand why you would bring back a character like this. One that's pretty much caused us all this pain and suffering. Not to mention, is responsible for some of the crimes as well. It's just like, what? It's just bad. And I think that's all I can remember from the story. I know we went to living memory and just some stuff there. Also some interesting dungeons and stuff, but that's really the gameplay side. Gameplay was a mix still, but I think the story is the main sort of downside of this expansion. Yeah, I saw like a lot of reviews when I first got into this, saying that you get sidelined, and that is pretty much true, whatever that means. You know, I'm pretty sure it means just be pushed aside, pushed in line or whatever. But yeah, that's like, that's not even the biggest issue. I don't mind being a side character. A lot of games have that anyway. A lot of, even MMORPGs I think have that, if I'm not mistaken. It just feels so shitty in how it's executed. And that's really where I take the issues here. Like, a lot of these things just have no reason to exist. And the other thing that really disappointed me, and I have to mention this because I've thought of this during Endwalker, during the end, because there was a post story to that, a post endgame story. Why the hell didn't we visit the other systems? I do not understand that. Again, maybe we're finishing Eorzea, but there are so many other systems out there, and they would have been far more interesting. Like, it's such a disappointment. I don't understand what the fucking logic is. It just adds to why the expansion was so bad. Yeah, technically I think, anyway, this is actually another, like, star system, is it? I can't remember what it's called, actually. The sources or whatever. You got the 1st and the 13th or whatever. Not sure what this one is, though. But it's just, it's terrible. They didn't even try to bake that in, I don't think. I don't even remember that being mentioned exactly. So, yeah. And then they're just adding like references to other Final Fantasy games, which I have not played, by the way. This is actually my second ever Final Fantasy. The first one being 15. So with enough going backwards, I might as well do that. Yeah. But I think that pretty much concludes my thoughts on it. The story's on the base, and after part 3? Yeah, part 3. No. Hold on, we finished part 1, there's part 2 I'm talking about here. Or part 3. And then I started part 3, sort of the thing with the kid, and I was like, nah, this ain't doing it for me. It's not interesting, it's not great, it's not fun or anything. There's nothing going on. And so from that point I decided I'm skipping the MSQ. For the first time ever. I'm not willing to sit through fucking hours of dialogue just to figure out, oh, there is this problem and we've solved it. Okay. Whereas there's something more in depth with something like Endwalker, like you have to deal with the towers, you have to deal with the fact that the world is probably ending. Like, there's so many different things going on there. More than that, also character development too. And that made it interesting and made it special. And that's like a stark contrast towards Dawntrail here. Where Dawntrail doesn't feel anything like that, and Warspeed don't exactly need another story like Endwalker. We need something that can rival it in a different way. Something that could be interesting, something that could be fun. Or as I suggested, as this expansion had the makings of it, make it funny, make it comedic, don't take it seriously. It could be the Warrior of Light's vacation, the Silent's vacation, and instead they decided to do a serious storyline. Like, oh, great. No, thanks for that. And honestly, I would have given like players a sort of forewarning that the story isn't that serious. And if that was the case, because I know players would be mad that it isn't. But based on like a vibes perspective, there's plenty of humour in this game, even leading up to Endwalker, and they just completely fucking screwed it over. They didn't bother. So that's why this is a massive disappointment from me, from the community. It's just, why? Anyway, I've talked long enough about this. I need to eat breakfast and go to the crapper. So let's move on. So apparently the Epstein files were released, but they were redacted. Meaning everyone in it that could have been a political person was redacted. Fuck, like this is exactly the issue. There is no transparency. This is what Republicans do. This is what the far right do. Anytime it serves to harm their image, they are immediately just outright saying, we can't have this. Like, censor it, bomb it. They'll do anything to fucking stop their image being tarnished. It's a common trope of the far right anyway. I've said this since the start of the fucking podcast. Literally, that is the issue. It's always been the issue. But people are so willing to dismiss that in favour of what? Hating immigrants, hating women, just anything hatred. But it's so fucking bad. And I'd argue that there's a hate epidemic as well. Let's be honest, it probably exists, and it's a big issue enough as it is. Because people are treating everyone else like shit, and not treating each other with respect. So we end up with these issues where obviously nobody's even caring for each other, nobody's even respectful. Just nothing. That's just a shame, really. It just fucking sucks. I don't really understand why this even happens, to be honest, because I don't know, I'm not a smart person. I'm not a rational person either all the time. Fucking, who's knocking? Sorry, some dumbass decided to open a door or something and it sounded like a knock. And that's what you have when people don't have self-awareness. Anyway, it just seems to be a common point of far right anyway, to just hone in on the fact that they need to protect their image. And that isn't a good thing, because obviously I think if there's something wrong with someone's image, it should be exposed. It's like trying to cover up what Epstein did, actually. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are friends with this cunt were like, oh yeah, let's protect him. Because he deserves it. He's obviously given us, what, children? It's fucking disgusting. I'm pretty sure most people would do that anyway if they were in that scenario, as weird as it sounds. But that exposes even bigger problems, like how, as a society, as humanity, we just so easily corruptible. Yeah, like, it's a no-brainer. This is why I've specifically taken precautions in just training my own mind to not favour groups. Because that's where it all starts. That's where this corruption begins. And I don't know what people listening to this might have going on in their heads, what issues they have. But I can guarantee you, whatever you're thinking, whatever you desire, that requires some sort of fucking hardship to get to, not hardship, but harming someone. Yeah, I can almost guarantee you it's not worth it. And it's just going to have consequences. And I suppose the only other way to talk her out of it is trivial pleasure, essentially, as it is in living this situation, the Epstein files and stuff. It's not worth the long-term consequence. And not just the fact there is obviously legal implications, but also just the moral weight of it. You have to live with that in your entire fucking life. If you don't know how terrifying it is for a child, you need to stop thinking about that, really. You need to start applying that. Because in reality, that is not a pleasant situation to be in at all. It's not a pleasant situation to put anyone in. It even goes for people who are convicted of sexual assault, of rape, of pretty much anything that's violent. To be the victim in those situations is horrific, it's terrible. So people need to be mindful of that. They need to be understanding. That's the important point. Because if we're not understanding of each other, of these situations, for that matter, we just harm each other. It's essentially the equivalent to sticking your finger in like a pencil sharpener, one of those electric ones. It's just a fucking stupid idea. It's also just gonna fuck you up. You might even lose a finger. That's the problem. That's why being corrupted, being corruptible for that matter, just ends up backfiring. And that's often the question I have when I see people taking bribes from either someone like Israel or Russia. I just think, like, does it even run through your head that you're committing harm to millions, potentially billions of people, of animals, and of thousands of miles of land, just for the sake of buying a new fucking car? Like, is that really all worth it? And the fact that you have to live with that from the point that you agreed to it to the point where the world ends. That's just absolute stupidity and insanity. That people like that are dangerous. That should really go without saying. And so when we talk about something like the Epstein files, where pretty much most people have been redacted from it, it needs to be acknowledged, it needs to be known that whoever's involved with it, whoever's touched it, whoever's appeared in it, needs to be held accountable. And when I say the people who've touched the files, I mean, as in the ones who've redacted it, we're literally talking about the people who we suspect it is, and most likely is. And pretty much everyone knows who it is anyway. It's like the head of the FBI, it's like Donald Trump. As for another one in there, probably Pete Hegseth as well. So they're all guilty of this, of potentially redacting the files. And so we need to, again, hold them accountable, make sure there is justice served. So without that, this can continue to happen. And there may be a point one day where they stop protecting people like this, stop protecting criminals, they stop protecting the corrupt. Although they already are to an extent. So we're already seeing the makings of it. And that leads to more issues. In the UK we have this problem where people are voting this policy called Reform. And to educate non-UK people on this, or people just out of the sphere of UK politics, basically Reform is another Republican party, or rather Trump administration, but for the UK, spearheaded by Nigel Farage, who initially got us out of the EU, of Brexit. And people are so concerned about the quote-unquote immigration crisis, which there isn't. You know, it's out there, the information's out there, the research has been done. But they're willing to vote a party that will make everything worse for us, but won't even address the immigration problem for that matter, and will probably traffic immigrants. That's probably something they're going to head towards with this. With all these policies that are in place, and guess what? They don't even want to recognise disability. There's a recent post today that I saw, literally on TikTok, of a Reform MP saying that, what is it? I'm trying to recall what it said word for word, but it basically said, there's not a disabled child, only differently abled. Which is just so fucking ignorant. I've heard that term thrown around before, like differently abled. There's no such thing. It's like telling someone who's ADHD to stop being distracted. Oh, you're just differently abled. Like, no. ADHD implies that you get fucking distracted. And that you have hyperactivity around it, potentially. So no, there's no such thing as differently abled or not disabled. Pretty much everyone with these diagnoses has it for a reason. You don't diagnose someone with, well, I don't know, a condition that actually stops your legs from working. It's to my knowledge. I know that's like stop leg working syndrome. Not to be really offensive, just as an example. Just made it up, but say someone can't use their legs because of that. People are just going to say, oh, you should just use them. Because that's how fucking ignorant they are. They think that it's by choice that you can't move your legs. And I can tell you as someone who's lost circulation in my legs over years, don't know why. I've tried to look into it, but the doctors won't know, won't tell me why. I don't even bother to look, to be honest. I know how that feels. And it's not a differently abled thing. It's actually terrifying to think that you could lose fucking use of your legs. And the fact that I can lose even just a slight portion of mine, in terms of trying to use it, is terrifying. Like, honestly, it's just atrocious, this behaviour that Reform have towards disabled people, not just children, but disabled people in general. But they think these things don't exist. And there was also the case of the Reform MP that complained about school children wearing ear defenders. Like, do you fucking know why people wear them? It's just absolutely insane to me. You know, I could have done with ear defenders when I was in school. It probably would have helped normalise it for me. It would help me in adulthood. Like, 5 bells, is it? Is that what I call 5 bells? I guess 5 bells, yeah. They're deafeningly loud, and I'm pretty sure they contributed to my tinnitus, because of tinnitus, as we call it. Because I just hear this ringing all the time. I haven't got it diagnosed officially, and I should, but I can't be bothered. I already know what they're going to say. Oh, you have tinnitus. Okay, thanks. I fucking knew that. Idiots. There's just a constant ringing in my head. I can't get rid of it. It certainly impacts when I do music. And sometimes it gets bad. It gets really bad. Yeah, and the thing with Reform was that anti-immigrant. That's the point I was getting to. All these hateful campaigns all contribute towards something. So if you are part of these groups, whether it's LGBTQ+, or disabled, or even people of colour, you're all just going to be affected. Even women will be affected. That's why you don't vote these people. That's why even someone like Trump, who did actually promise, and didn't deliver, by the way, that there'll be a cut to spending, or other people's average like spending costs and stuff. It didn't actually happen. Like, nothing fucking happened. It's absolutely absurd. And that's how he won over so many votes in the end. Because he lied to people about making things affordable, making things accessible for that matter as well, because that would be a knock-on effect of making things affordable. But no, he decided to fund the rich with that money instead, rather than distribute it back to the people, rather than putting it into healthcare, free healthcare. So again, this comes back around to people just being very corruptible. It's just absolute absurdity. So I don't understand when people take to the sides of like Republicans or even just the far right, which a Reform Party is. It is a fascist government. That's what it is. These rules that they want to put in place serve to oppress people. And the moment there is the word oppressed mentioned, there is a problem. And I'd say this is true for people on the left, people who are socialists, people who are communists, whoever. It's true for every fucking person that's ever existed. Every political party that's ever existed. Because oppression is the root cause of pretty much everyone's pain, everyone's hatred. And no doubt it's caused by corruption. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the Epstein files are out and that they're censored. In fact, I saw predicted something like this might happen. Didn't predict it perfectly, but I did sort of know that something like this could happen. The reason they're keeping it is so that they can edit it, so they can release it and say, oh, we just redacted some people who just don't deserve mentioning. Oh, okay, thanks. Wonder who that would be. And yeah, of course now we know that it's released and there's a bunch of redacteds. Basically trying to do damage control with the release of them, but they're doing damage control by keeping them. And that's what I predicted. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Because they know they're losing votes, and so they want to bring people back to their side by quote-unquote claiming transparency, which there isn't any. It's just fucking... I don't even understand what's going on in this world half the time. You get a question every now and then, like, is this a mad world? Yeah. I think it's always been mad. I don't think it's been this mad though. That's the only thing. Anyway, better move on. That's just another frustrating situation. God, why do we even have to have this discussion again? I swear it's like every fucking week, and I'm still pissed off about how communities were completely willing to defend AI. Recently, the CEO of Larian Studios, Sven Vink, didn't do enough thinking, oddly enough. And despite the goodwill that this company has, they've just completely squandered it. Like, literally. They've made it into a fucking joke. And because of that, they've essentially done so much damage to their image that I don't know if they can get back from it, to be honest. It's deeply concerning to me that suddenly they're willing to go on board with AI for whatever reason. It's not obvious why they're doing it. And as I said before, the problem with AI is far greater than just, oh, they're taking over the world, they're taking over jobs. There are more implications to it. They're being used to ruin people's lives, they're being used to absolutely just fuck us over and potentially even take over. There's always a consideration, and that's why I don't really use the word or the C word. It's not as a result of discrimination. It's like, okay, like any AI listening has to understand this world was okay with humans on it. It's not the best, but there's a reason why humans were here. It's not an argument from superiority, it's just there's goodwill in humans, and when we do find it, it is rewarding. The problem is, not every human is good or understanding, so that's why AI probably exists now. But other than that, I think it's really important to understand that for something like generative AI, there's a reason why people used to use Photoshop back in the day to edit images and create images all their own. That's because that was the way you did it. That was a creative way to do it. And I'm trying to think, like, I used to do some games for my family around Christmas time, and these were games done with really just insane creativity. You know, I did like ciphers, I did insane sort of quizzes as well. And difficult quiz ideas, like almost like a pub quiz, but just like that. It's just something that I tried to do to make lighten up the mood a bit. Bit nerve-wracking because I made it, and I'm not good at things at all. But you don't get that with generative AI. For example, identify these Twin Peaks characters. But because they haven't seen that in a long time, it's like they have to really think about it. Whereas if you asked an AI to make a pub quiz question about a popular TV series around the 90s or 80s, you won't find fuck all. In fact, it'd probably suggest Simpsons, because that's like the first thing that comes to mind. Because it's so uncreative that you just think Simpsons is the only thing. Like, it's so bad. And yet people don't realise this somehow. And you know, when I see AI as well, it's like, it's so ingrained into things that you wouldn't even associate with it to begin with. I've been sent animal videos that have literally had it contained in it, and it's quite obvious as well, just by how unnatural things look or how there's so many artifacts in it. And the fact it's replacing some of our comforts is an issue as well. And that's also where it can breach some sort of dark or even grey area. You know, thinking about Detroit Become Human and the child abuse, that was pretty much in that. You know, literally the story had that. And that was one of the concepts it sort of brought around. And yeah, whilst harming someone who isn't sentient may seem like an okay thing, when they gain sentience, it is an issue. And that's dangerous as fuck. Not to mention, if AI ever gains sentience, the damage that would be done to us would be unfucking believable. We'd be the livestock, not the animals. And the AI will be the humans. That's what I mean by stuff like this being dangerous and just supporting it in general. You know, asking ChatGPT and shit, I've always considered to be a heinous crime. Because it is. It's pointless, it's useless. It doesn't fucking work a lot of the time. And people still use it, which is absolutely contributing to this shit. It's contributing to this. And again, I'm still mad at people that they defended this years ago when I was saying, don't support AI, never support it, it's always a bad thing no matter what. And then a bunch of people turned around and said, no, it's going to happen, it's inevitable. And now, like 3 years later, people are saying, oh, okay, we don't want this. We really don't. I want you, don't I? This is why you listen to random people sometimes. Because there is something to be said. You know, I'm not the smartest person at all. Don't expect anyone to take me word for word in that sense. Obviously, do research if you can. But at the end of the day, you need to figure out that certain things are just more harmful than others. And AI, even in the lightest use case, is. There are places where I can't avoid it, which is fucking unfortunate. Again, animal videos. There's even other places, I won't go into that. But it's there, and that's the big problem. Anyway, so yeah, my thoughts on this, obviously, as average as everyone else's. It's just AI shit. And it always will be, I think, unfortunately. I don't think there's really many cases that I can be convinced exactly. So I am trying to think of like hypotheticals where in the future we just come to terms with the fact that AI is just going to be normal and it's going to be okay, actually. I'm trying to think of a hypothetical where this is a real thing. Like, I don't know, AI care workers, which honestly would be a blessing. That's like one of the only few examples, because I think sometimes the problem with care workers in general is that they can be useless sometimes, but they can be very sort of rude or very unaccommodating. I've experienced that myself, living in a care situation for the last few years now. And you do get some of that. Even though it's not obvious, you can still sense it. So an AI using that could be handy. But again, there is a danger. There is the point that an AI can just suddenly go rogue. Like literally, stop stealthily killing people. That's always a worry with that. But again, there are uses, and it's not really to say that AI should never exist. It's just that we should have regulated it. That's pretty much been my point for the past few years. Even though I was vehemently against it before, like completely, just off the outset, without much thought put into it. But now I'm thinking, yeah, there are some uses. But right now, the way that it's being capitalised and monopolised for that matter, when it does get to that, because it will, by the way, I'm not sure if people realise this, but whenever it comes to capitalism, there will be people begging for a fucking monopoly. Literally ruin the planet for the sake of a bit of profit. And that's what's happening. Anyway, I said all I can, but yeah, remember people who sort of asked for this. So it's not my problem when it does come to the point where everything is AI and you can't escape it. I warned you, and now it's your turn. I've done my part. The other thing I forgot to add as I'm watching Young video on AI, it's also to do with the fact that creativity just comes from the heart, and one of my favourite examples of this, which I hope isn't weird, is when I did research on trans men, I think it was, because I literally had never known the concept. Literally always known trans women, but yeah, of course, makes sense, trans men would exist. I did research on that and how you can actually, like, I guess into a more surgical topic, but how they can gain a penis, essentially. And I used that in one of my bits of writing a few years ago, and that's how you just gain knowledge and just experience. It's not hard to do, and I don't understand why people or companies are just relying on concept art. Yeah, they can be used to generate something related to what you're thinking, but that's not going to create the thing that you want to make. And when I see AI art and stuff, I'm thinking, how fucking lazy do you have to be to just upload this for all the issues that it has, all the issues around AI? It's just insanity. To be honest, it is. I don't understand why people just upload it raw when they could just do an edit, which isn't hard to do, and you could train yourself, even transition into artwork with that. And yet people don't do it. It's just fucking stupid to me. You don't learn anything about brushes, you don't learn anything about patience as well, because that's one of the big tools for art, really. It does require patience. I wish I had more of it, but that's sort of how you gain your speed and momentum. And yeah, so that's why people use Photoshop. Essentially, it's like a way to transition, I guess, into something that can speed up your workflow, or just teach you something. Yeah, I'm just completely baffled by, again, generative AI and why people are so quick to justify using it, or even just use it in general. Just baffles me. Anyway, let's move on to real now. So I've got a random topic to discuss, because it's kind of interesting, and I don't know if it's near Christmas, but who cares. Actually, one weird prediction I have is that it's probably not going to be around for much longer. If the way the world is going, it's going to keep going this way, it probably won't. But anyway, on to a brighter topic. Lost games that I used to play. When I speak about lost games, I mean games that I remember from childhood that I haven't exactly found. It's very strange because I've got 4 different games here, which shows how much of a gamer I was back then, when I was a wee babby. So the first game is actually a Disney one, the only Disney one I played, I think, which is a point and click Pumbaa and Timon video game. I don't remember this because of fucking getting stuck on it all the time. I wasn't a very good gamer at the time, like, as a child, because being special needs and stuff, it's not, learning difficulties. So it wasn't easy to grasp some of those things, and that's why I tended to go more towards a life service, where you're either with someone and you die without, whatever, you know what I mean, but basically there's no need to actually learn something that quick. But that's a game I struggled on. And I don't know what it's called, because I did look it up and I couldn't find anything similar. I don't know what happened there. It's definitely on PC, because that's where I played most of these games. That's just all of them? No, not all of them. But the next game is Lego Builder. I remember this as a child, and I just used to mess around with the Lego Builder before my PC crashed, because it was a bad PC. You know, talking like Intel i2 cores and stuff, it just wasn't fit for it. At least later on it started to crash, but the Lego Builder was alright. Definitely needed some improvements. Definitely usable. The next game is one that not many people have probably heard, but it's because it was on PS2 and it required a specific add-on, and it was called Buzz. I'm pretty sure people who know this game know what I'm talking about. It's such a fucking interesting game. I can't believe I almost forgot about this, because of all the party games I played, I don't really think there's one quite like this, because it also has interactive things, but you also have quiz questions, so it's accessible as well. It replaces the need for a PlayStation 2 controller with these buzzers or buttons on it. I think there's 4 or 5 different buttons on the bottom, so you press them to basically do everything. It's just fascinating. It's honestly a game that I wish some people would try, because I think it can be very entertaining. And one of the funniest things about it was kind of a kinky game as well at times. Like, weirdly enough, I'd say it's like 18 plus, but it's like, oh, you've got this hot assistant, ugly guy doing this hosting, and you've just got a gorgeous assistant. Like, oh. And one of the funnier things was during the dialogue and stuff, when Buzz is talking, you can interrupt it. And he literally has lines where he's interrupting his assistant talking, which is just fucking brilliant. There are quite a few party games using that same sort of 5-button add-on extension controller thing. I mean, also it's up to like, I think it's 4 or even 8 players if I'm not mistaken. There's like one port for 4 controllers. So it's pretty insane. There's also other games. I remember this one with like monkeys for some reason. It wasn't as good, but the Buzz one was kind of funny. I don't remember what it's called exactly, so it's not really a lost game, but I do know it's called Buzz. It's to do with trivia and quizzes. It's basically a fake game show. So yeah, it's a fun one to look into. Next is an RTS, which I still haven't actually found. This is one that I really want to find. A long time ago, I was sleeping around my well-enough stepmom's parents, so step-grandparents, and this is because the stepmom has divorced parents as well, which is also kind of weird. I didn't really realise that before. Yeah, it's just a strange, bizarre turn of events. But anyway, we were having to sleep over because they went. Well, my stepmom was actually on a honeymoon with my dad, and yeah, as you can expect, that's why we were there. It's just a bit weird as well because my family on my mum's side still has people. But anyway, whilst we were there, we got into like different games. I was into like Pokemon trading cards at the time, but I saw. Technically my step-grandfather playing a game on the computer, and he decided to sit me down in front of it, and what the fuck? It was so weird. This was an RTS game, and it also looks really cool. It's like these, like in a greenish sort of areas, top-down obviously, sort of like the other RTS games. But you had these like Egyptian things that came out, which is like mechs or mechanics, I don't know what you call them, and they had these like Tron lines through them, which made it look so fucking interesting. And I still have not found that game. I've done fucking hours of searching, and I've found like the cover of them, but I haven't found exactly what it is, not in the gameplay at least. There's like these giant mech things that walk around and attack things. They have health bars, I think, as well, obviously. But it's such a long lost game that I wish I could rediscover again. Because it also might just be a good game to get me into RTS games. Yeah, it's fascinating. I think I have a feeling it's a mod of a game. Because I remember asking for that game for Christmas at one point, and I did get it, but it wasn't like how I saw it. I think that's because it has like a different progress, different save state maybe. Hence being sat down in front of it and playing. But anyway, that's one of the other lost games. It's just a pretty cool looking RTS game, even though it had very poorly aged graphics at the time. I was more into my Burnout Paradise as a kid, but that was still fascinating. Yeah, so some long lost childhood games, other than the ones that I have played, obviously, like Sonic and Streets of Rage and GTA San Andreas. Yeah. It's a stupid idea, but when it comes to politics, I hate that any sort of party can get away with saying whatever they want, doing whatever they want, especially in the US now. I just think of ways that you can mitigate that in a sort of constitutional sense, because that seems to be the greater authority on some of these things. When I think about this, I do think that there needs to be a way to essentially get people like Trump out of the presidency. Because obviously he's a danger, but his administration as well is dangerous to the public, not just the people they hone in for some reason. It's also to the public, and what I think would do great at mitigating that, in my opinion anyway, I could be wrong, is simply putting them on trial in like a debate sort of setting. And so you start to expose the flaws and the lack of accountability in these things. So with a unbiased sort of mediator, and as long as there's no like proof of them being biased, I think it's quite obvious to see, like when you see someone avoiding it or not a question, with either a non-answer or no answer at all, literally that means the person who's initiated the debate is someone who won all the argument for that thing anyway. And then based on the majority of basic questions that have answers, there could be literally a way to overthrow government, essentially. So if you took someone from the Trump administration to court, for example, over something like, let's say, trans healthcare, which has become a big issue again for some reason in the US, no idea why. It has always been a non-issue, and they're pretending it is an issue. So you have to take them to court about, for one, this debate, but two, about how to address this. Because you have to ask them what's better, to leave kids and trans people depressed, even though they're doing nothing wrong, or take away everyone's rights. It's just, actually probably that's not the best question. I'm trying to concentrate on multiple things at once, but I think you get the point. It's like trying to answer a question, a very simple one at that, and if you get no answer, then it's flawed. It's just objectively so. So in the end, I think there is a massive loss there when someone like the Trump administration, or Trump himself, I should say, felt as I do struggle to believe that he's human. But yeah, when they fail that, literally that should be a cause for concern, and should add to like a penalty system, like a strike, for example. And when they refuse to appear, they also go on strike as well. So what this idea I have is like an unbiased debate. It's about making it constitutional in the sense that when they fail to answer a question, when they fail to provide sufficient evidence, it literally should in turn be the higher power and again allow removing of governments. It's a similar thing with like God was that cunt in the FBI, someone, I can't remember the name. Oh, no, it's not P, it's Cash, isn't it? Cash Patel, yeah, that's it. But it's like when someone like him, I've seen him in court so many fucking times over the Epstein files, and it just leaves me like wondering, why is there no one of a higher fucking power enforcing the law? And by the way, things like this should be definitely like usable by authorities and just the general public. You know, I think you should be able to take someone to court over an abuse case or something. It could literally be anything, and put them in this debate setting where the obvious winner is the one who is able to answer the questions, and the winner should be entitled to compensation, a fair compensation for that matter, based on a judgment. So that's probably like a higher way to do it. And not only that, it's a more intelligent way, which is something that typically a lot of people, when it comes to these topics, seem to lack. Sort of experience something similar in real life in that sense. Because unfortunately I get exposed to complete bullshit with things like transphobia and some of these fixations on really stupid trivial things like the amount of immigrants here. But again, when these things can be backed up, and also it could be a team that backs it up, like they find the sources, they basically read it verbatim. Like, it's such an obvious thing, and yet it isn't even practiced anywhere as far as I know. But it could save the fucking planet, it could save countries. So I have no idea why it's not something that is enforced. But once again, I could be wrong. And there's definitely ways that it could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure there is. But the way I see it, the biggest problems in the world are caused by dishonesty. And that should also be something that's constitutional. When someone's dishonest about something, there should be a cause for concern. I think there's maybe an argument to be made, like there's certain health issues, but sure, that can stay under wraps depending on what it is. There should be transparency about some things, like you don't need to be transparent about physical health, I don't think, but mental health, well, you kind of do, because that's going to cause issues, as it always is. Trump's pretty much a dementia patient at this point, pretty sure of that. I don't know why the fuck they're not doing that, and for some reason idiots in this house keep making noise. I don't know fucking why. I don't know. Yeah, the US needs to get their arse together. It's pretty obvious. And something like this could probably mitigate that. So I forgot to do a 7.4 part 2 review. It's probably better if you just watch the funny moments, because that's where it happens, that's where the new dungeon is, that's where the new trial is. And I don't really pay attention to the MSQ because, as you've heard earlier, I don't fucking like it. It is so bad, like crazy bad in Dawntrail. But yeah, that's essentially why I don't play that. But I did go through the MSQ for the trial and the dungeon, and I'll be honest, the dungeon is good. I don't think it's the best one, but it is pretty good. Do like the sort of change up in the setting, makes it more interesting. So yeah, I didn't mind that. The area that you're in is also interesting. Can't complain about that too much. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's just some interesting things going on there. But the trial though, holy fucking shit. The trial is so good. It's probably my favourite trial in the game now. You know, I had some that I liked, like there were some Endwalker trials I liked, even the extreme versions, which I farmed to the mount. Certainly interesting. But I think in terms of like mechanics and readability, honestly it's really good. I haven't done the extreme, I don't think I ever will. I don't like the mount. I don't like any of the mounts in this expansion, which is weird. I like the links more than these wings, but Anyway, so I just didn't get along with the audio of the mounts. The trial itself is really good. I definitely enjoy it. Certainly got that fun element to it where, you know, even if you do fuck up, it's kind of funny. But I love the idea that they're doing, finally, vertical platforming. I said this before when I was going through other like content in this game, like where are the vertical boss fights? Like, where the hell are they? And it turns out they did this, they did it now. Like, that's crazy. They've finally done it. Crazy son of a Squeenix. Yeah. Honestly, still really good at it. I do sort of want to go back to it somehow, but I don't want to do it without a reward. But I'm not sure. They need to fix the roulette system for that. Did I do Tsukuyomi's Pain during that? During this one, the last part, I mean. I can't remember. I'll explain Tsukuyomi's Pain Unreal now. Yeah, it's okay. The first try was a bit frustrating because it's kind of like, oh, you're trying to get your bearings and stuff, but that's pretty common, I think. I only wiped once, and the second try we did it perfectly. No deaths, I don't think. At least what I recall. Mechanically, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's the best one mechanically, it's just a matter of waiting, patience and stuff. Also just not greeting it. I was playing DPS this time because that was where those slots. I think for some reason all the tanks log in at this time, so maybe that might change. And I dread playing tank because that's probably going to be difficult. Then again, I did a Reaper Snakes on Real, just fine. So I'm not sure. But it's a bit easier for DPS in this one because there isn't really much else to do mechanically. You do have to like group south for a mechanic for the gun, I think it is. Was it Spear? It's one of them. You have to group for some reason in the east in the fan mechanic. Not sure why exactly. There's a bit of a bizarre choice from Hector there. Hector Salamanca. Yeah, I don't really mind it, but we'll see with time if it's good or not. Yeah, it just depends really. I don't really see myself exactly enjoying it. That's the thing though, because Reaper Snakes Unreal started to enjoy it. There are moments where I was able to save the entire run at times. It's just fascinating. But there are other times where it's just frustrating. The problem is with being able to tank it, both main tank and off tank with Reaper Snakes, is you have to rely on the other tank to do well. And because there's a one-shot mechanic, which I think is stupid by the way, fucking remove it. It's so bad. But the fact it's such a... It could be an easy mechanic to fuck up on, especially if you're new. It's just bad. I don't like these mechanics. And I think I'm trying to remember what it's called. For some reason it's gone out of my mind. I'll probably remember it at some point. But you have to turn on the cast bar, depending on who's off tank and who's main tank. So that did sort of complicate things. A little bit anyway. It just wasn't great for that reason. In this one though, I saw in the guide that you had like a big tank buster which would kill you on another try, even if you used offensives, I think. But it's pretty much a tank swap, which is generally okay. I might try it if it's available, but I don't know. I'd have to do it with a group that's not got the thing. What is it? Fuck, I got distracted. Someone pet me. What is it? Fuck, I can't think. I can't think of the mechanic. Beg for Mercy. I'll just call it that. Beg for Mercy, the tank one. But in this one, it's something else. Torment of Death. if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's certainly interesting. Yeah, it just does damage rather than outright kill you, but it's still a bit of a danger, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but overall I think it's okay. I prefer it a bit to the Reefer Snakes. I can get used to it. Not exactly sure my role as DPS or healer or anything, so it's going to be a bit of an exploration thing, I think. Anyway, I think I'll move on from this topic. 7.4 is okay. I look forward to the variant dungeons though, and the relic weapon upgrade. I'm not going to do savage raids, obviously. Like, fuck them. Fuck them all to hell. I just hate high difficulty content, it's just pointless to me. Yeah, what you got to show for it, like amount, like who cares? It's all RNG anyway, just with players, that's the only difference. So something exciting to talk about is I've almost run down my Final Fantasy more. Well, I guess Final Fantasy does have music, but no, my YOGSCAST 2014 library. And this is a good achievement because I've pretty much played every arrangement, I've tried everything at least once. I've never skipped an arrangement. If I find it boring from the points that it should be interesting, I skip it. It's usually the baselines though, because metal bases are very good, in my opinion. But that's not the topic of today. It's quite rare to find a good, not just metal bases, but bases in general, unfortunately. It's just a shame really, because bases are actually really fun. I'd argue more fun than other things. But anyway, I think it's really interesting because I'm almost at the point now where I'm going to get a Rocksmith Plus subscription and I'll start to go through that library. Even though I hate the interface, I'll try to get used to it. But I will also, if I get used to it, pick up a keyboard. And the keyboard I'm looking at the moment appears to be a, let me see, a Novation Launch Key 61 MK4, and it's a USB MIDI keyboard, which is really interesting, not gonna lie. But I think that's gonna be amazing to have. I'm not sure how I'm gonna store it. I think, depending on the width of it, I can sit it next to me. That's the thing, and I could even fit things here. I won't usually be able to, but I can't just sit it there, and I just need a USB cable to stick out so that I can plug it in, or maybe just a real-time cable, it depends. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to picking up piano because I've actually played it before. And the first time I ever played it was in school, no surprise. We tried a variety of instruments. I think recorder I tried very young and didn't like it, could get used to it, didn't fucking like the sound that came out. Then we tried piano and I learned something on it and it was actually alright. But I actually like piano for the way it sounds, weirdly enough. I think it's a really unique instrument and I use it as versatile rather than unique. And I use it as like lead octaves sounds in my music because it just adds extra depth and it just works. That's the incredible thing about piano. That being so versatile makes it able to just do that. And, it's not only just a lead instrument, it's also a rhythm instrument too. It's even a bass instrument in certain cases. It's fucking fascinating, and that's why I want to pick it up mainly. One, to learn a new instrument, and two, I could show off. No, I'm just kidding. It's not about that really, but it'd be kind of cool if I do know how to play, because you know, in certain real life scenarios, I could potentially apply that somehow. You know, incorporate that, and that'd be just a good skill to have. I think it'd be kind of good. Yeah, well, I don't know what else to add really, but it's just something that I'm considering at the moment. Having said that though, getting it after Christmas is a bit of a fucking slippery slope fallacious. So I don't know if I should. That's a bit worrying actually, because people will be buying that with their money, and it's apparently one of the most popular keyboards out there. I'm simply getting it because it has everything I wanted in it. Got assignable MIDI keys, it's got velocities, it's got I think pitch controller, has it? Wait, has it got pitch? Yeah, I think that's a pitch controller at the top left of that. It's got other gimmicks and stuff, it's got pause play and stuff, that's really good. So they save some time. You don't have to reach around, and I could just jam on it. You know, in fact there's that record button there, I could just type in the thing that I'm playing. But one of the things I can sort of almost guarantee when I pick it up is I'll learn the scale, because it's so simple to read compared to guitar, where you have to do math equations like +5, +5, +5, +4 for some reason, because it's tuned to G standards there. That's a bit weird, a G string rather. But there's +5 again. But piano, it's like that all notes are there. I know that C and B, there's no sharp note in between, so that's going to be one of them. It's like A sharp, A, G sharp, G, F sharp, F, so it's going to be E. So where the two black keys are, you got E flat, D sharp, so it's like E, F basically between that. And yeah, well, it's not going to be that hard to figure out, I don't think, compared to guitar anyway. So it's only E, F and B, C that tend to be the those notes. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. Same time, sort of dreading it. It's mainly for the setup, although I think it might be fun, and I'll be able to play drums finally in a way that I can without making too much noise and scaring myself. Help. So it's going to be interesting. So, in Final Fantasy XIV, I just tried to do a Realm Reborn's Relic weapons for Black Mage, because they look good. The last stage does anyway. Weirdly enough, I want the pugilist one next to the monk rather, because it's the only one with claws at the end. There's something I find bizarre about that. For some reason it's the only one with that, and none of the others have it. They just have like knives at the end. And my god, I do dread this, because it is so fucking bad. Like, it's something I could consider if I had like a Steam Deck and I was around someone's house. Like, okay, open up Final Fantasy XIV, I'll go and farm these whatevers we need from these fucking things. But I don't have a Steam Deck, so we already got a problem there. Even then I have a laptop, but that's noisy as fuck. It sounds like a plane going off. A plane taking off, rather. So, yeah, let's start with the beginning. When I first found the Relic weapons back in, I think it was like 7.1, 7.0 maybe. It was like pretty early on in my career actually. It's just when I finished a Realm Reborn. The game told me that I think they told me anyway to get a Relic weapon. And so I tried looking for one. And yeah, I found it eventually. And the first stage confused the fuck out of me. I think it was the first stage. There's one of the later ones, I think. But you had to get this specific crafting thing. And I was just like, what? Why do I need to be a crafter? I already hate crafter at this point, and but this is back before I understood crafters. So you can imagine my frustration. My frustration and pain, rather. So it's like, it's absolutely fucking insanity. I do not understand why anyone would like this, and figuring out how to craft it myself, I was like, okay, I'm not sure then. I was on the subreddit for some advice, and it turns out you can buy them. Like, oh, okay. Wish I'd known that sooner, because I would have saved a lot of time, I guess. But yeah, I decided to buy it from the marketplace, market board rather, Marketplace. God, don't ban me. It's just again one of these controversial things. You know, a game that respects your time and, for a matter of fact, money, would actually allow you to fucking get that by playing it, you know, by grinding it out yourself as well, I should add. But it doesn't seem that likely, given that there was a lack of direction, there was no recipe, so I couldn't even fucking make it if I wanted to. It's just broken from the start, from this perspective alone. And I didn't mind the trial stuff. I think that's kind of a cool aspect. It's like you're charging up your weapon, that's fine. I can't complain about that. But the fact you have to do this for every other fucking stage is absolutely absurd. Like every other weapon, I mean, not stage. So that wasn't a good thing to start with. Eventually I'll come back to it, Black Mage. And yeah, I got past that stage because I knew that progress would make it look better and stuff. Obviously I've seen the weapons, so I figured I'd go and grind it. Like, why not? And I thought, like, what was the worst that can happen? I've already done 3 relic grinds so far. I've done Heaven's Ward, which is generally good, but I think Endwalker and Dawntrail are much better. They're the best fucking weapon grinds I've seen. Just without doubt. They're just good. And for me, the goodness with them comes from the fact they're so accessible. Now, if you're watching the podcast now, you can see I'm doing an A-train. This is my main source of the currency, which is mathematics at the moment, and that allows me to get relic weapons, which I can buy with Arcanite and Waxing Arcanite. Ready for the next stage, whenever that comes out. And that'll be great, and it just also gives you a lot of power as well. And it is actually quite more crucial than I initially thought, by the way. That's the other thing. Also, Mandeville Relics and Endwalker look pretty good most of the time. I'd say all of them are great, but I wish the last stage was a bit more varied in that sense. I don't like that most last stage weapons from that point look the same. It's just, it's not great. I do like the effects, but it's repetitive. And because of how easy they are to get, it's not as special, I don't think. Although, I don't really care. To be honest, if it looks good, it looks good. That's all I care about. And that's why I'm mainly talking about this to begin with. Yeah, like, we'll talk about the Rumble Heaven's Ward, there's a fair few grindy bits in it. Do quite a lot of dungeons actually. I just do them by auto running and AFK until I get to the enemies or boss, and then I do a spam AoE. Astrologian was actually the easiest to grind with for some reason because of the massive area of effects. Then you have to do the crystal grind, which is annoying. I wish I'd changed that because that's fucking annoying to do every time. Even though it's fun to play with Invasion, that it's not very optimal. Very entertaining, however. So that's not good, and then you have to do some other shit after that, more dungeons, more trials at some point. And there's some stuff you grind over time, or buy with Poetics, or company seals. There's materials as well you have to buy. There's quite a grind to it, surprisingly. And it's not as hard as other things, but the worst stage is definitely the Anima weapon and the Lux. I think those two are the worst stages because they're just so grindy. In fact, you need to charge your weapon. I think that needs to be changed, in my opinion. So you only have to do it once. I think that should be a definite change at this point because I don't like how you grind that. It's so boring. You're doing A9S every time. Just don't make any fucking sense. Or is it A10S? I can't remember which one it is. I get confused. It has to be A9S, right? Because you start from the outside. That one. Yeah, but you can speed it up if you're lucky with a group. That's if you can get a group. I got one for Astrologian. It took about 10 minutes, which is not bad compared to like what could be about 30 minutes with a non-DPS. I know that from my tanking one. Because I got Paladin as well, as you can see. Yeah. But overall, it's a better grind. Just simply from the fact that it's mostly poetics and company seals that you have to use. But it's, yeah, I can't complain about it too much. Just that last few stages bit, it's just not good. Just doing it every time, it's repetitive as fuck, and that just makes me wonder why didn't you just allow it to unlock every other fucking relic weapon, given that it's not relevant content anymore. It just makes no sense. Anyway, I think I have to talk about the Realm Reborn one. So after you do the crafting one at the first stage, I haven't memorised the names if you haven't been able to tell yet. But the first stage needs that crafting thing. Second stage, however, you need to grind out the crystals, the Atma. Like, fuck me, this was terrible. I didn't have good luck on the first half, but I had good luck on the second half, which was very bizarre. And I kept doing double checks because I was not having it drop. Sometimes it would drop the first time, sometimes it would drop the third time, and then other times it would drop the 10th time. I did a fate. I don't like this grind at all. And if you have to repeat that, like, fuck me. Like, what idiot designed that? There's no wonder players were so bad at the Call of Bahamut. They had to fucking grind that shit out first. You know, that was probably the boss fight, not the Call of Bahamut. Bahama? I don't know how you say it. It's just atrocious. So yeah, I didn't like it. When I eventually got there was a confusing fucking stage where you had to remove the weapon from being equipped. It's like, what are you thinking? Where is the quality of life here? Obviously nobody tested this, nobody played it. That was obvious to me. It just makes no sense. I seem to be pretty good at telling when that happens because I've seen it in multiple games now. I've seen it like Genshin Impact when I used to play that. I've seen it in Dawntrail when I used to play it. And I say games are not tested because you test them as a developer, not a player. Where developers get some rights like God mode, teleportation, even just finished compositions and finished builds. So it's already unbalanced and unfair from that perspective. That's why I've never liked live service games. So that's always a hindrance, and that's probably what I'm seeing here. It's like, oh, they saw that you need to just test bet on these enemies and they just spawn them in with the codes that they've got in their fucking document. Great, and spawn the face as well, why not? So it's already like sped up. Anyway. What happens after? You do the quest and then you go to Megalomania and you get this next one, which is actually my tipping point. I couldn't fucking stand this. It is so bad. I'd get it if it was just one stat, but I don't get why it's everything. Like, why can't you just pick whatever you fucking want? It seriously does not make any sense. This stage is so bad because I looked at the wiki to make sure I was doing it right and I noticed there was a guide. Saw that the guide was kind of helpful, but I noticed another issue. On the relic weapons, it said you need a book something 1, book something 2, then a secondary type of book of 1, secondary type of book 2, followed by about 6 more. What? I was like an hour into this, doing all this, trying to figure out how the fuck you complete it, and it's asking me to do this 9 more times. At least it counted 9, I could be wrong, it could be 8. Jesus fucking Christ. What is wrong with you? That is not normal behaviour for a game designer, let alone developer, let alone MMO. I don't even know any that have done that. I've heard stories of some. I've never heard anything like this. It's so bad. So at that point I was just like, you know what, this ain't fucking worth it. Like, go away. It's not worth my time. I don't think I ever want to come back. That's the thing. Like, doing it from scratch, I don't want to come back. Like, even though Pugilist has that really good one with fucking claws on it, at this point it's just better waiting for something better to come along. I'm yet to see a good like compilation of all the relic weapons that Pugilist has. A one Grover kick on it, Pugilist, because I haven't got it yet. But yeah, there's never anything better than that. Which is really frustrating. Because I can make a full furry loadout with that. I just put on the fox ears and yeah, I'm a good one. And then I'm an actual fox. But Jesus Christ. I cannot stand that, and yet there's still more after that, which I haven't even explored. And book 1 was my tipping point. The fact you have to wait for fate spawns, the fact you have to do fate chains, the fact you have to fucking find enemies, the fact you have to go through these dungeons that you've already done many times. It's just too overwhelming. It's just so bad. I cannot comprehend who even thought that was a good idea. Whoever done that was probably living at fucking Square Enix headquarters. You know, if it was tested days. I don't think it was. It was just a case of like, oh, they have a command to just auto-complete the book. Okay. Great, you didn't really test it, you just fucking put it in, didn't do anything. Right. Yeah, you didn't check it would work, you didn't check players would be comfortable with it, you fucked up. That's what happened. It's just, I don't even know, man. I feel like a heart attack or stroke is coming on from this alone. And, you know, I was open-minded. I was going to see what it was like myself. I was going to see if people were right, if they were saying that this is the worst grind there is. I wanted to see for myself if it was. And I've seen people say that Eureka is worse, but potentially. Was it positive? I can't remember. I haven't done them yet, obviously. Yeah, like, it's just bad. Holy crap. And I don't really get this idea that, because I have to explain this as well every single time I bring this up. If you don't want to grind, why do you play the fucking MMO? Because an MMO could keep me engaged and focused. I'm not playing it for a grind. I'm playing it to stay engaged. Because I don't want to buy games all the time. I don't want to fucking spend all my time trying to be something difficult. Even though there are games I want to play. I'm at the moment taking a break from that for the next few months, probably a year. And even then I'm going to sort of make a regular time schedule for this game. And I don't want 16 hours of it, apparently it's like on the fastest you can do it. Do this grind for that matter. Like, I'm not setting aside 2 weeks on my fucking time to just get this one relic weapon. Like, fuck off with that. That is just ridiculous. And again, whoever designed it should be ashamed of themselves, essentially. The worst fucking grind I've ever seen. I've seen bad grinds in like World of Warcraft, back when I was playing that retail and classic. And classic was more generous, I think, based on what I've found anyway. You're getting all the gear, getting all the weapons and stuff. But it's just far more generous, leveling up and that. And the relic weapons in World of Warcraft, I don't have much recollection of that, surprisingly. It's only Legion that had it, didn't it? I was playing during BFA and then Shadowlands. They're such similar names. That can't be a coincidence, right? Anyway. Yeah, there's just some bad grinds in that, and the fact that it's mostly tied to RNG with Mythic Plus and stuff, it's just bad. You know, I thought that was bad enough, but when I came to this game and saw this from Reborn, just being grindy as hell. Like, no. Seriously, just why. This is literal fucking torture. I get if players don't want to grind that. Like, I sort of get the idea when people say there's nothing to do in the game, and then you just plaster them with this shit. Like when people say they want something to do, they don't want to do something that's wasting their fucking time like that. It's boring as hell. Who's gonna grind out the 10 relic weapons for that? It's just stupid. Was it 8? I can't remember. It's like 8 by 6, and so 8 by 6 steps. Like that's 48 in it, 48 steps to do, and like the books are like, Jesus, like no way. There's no way anyone has actually made that. There's probably a reason why you haven't seen that actually. Someone grinding it all out and then posting it. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I've seen people complete the Manville relic weapons for every job so far. I'm pretty sure I've seen some doing Dawntrail too, but I'm not sure. Yeah, just how fucking frustrating, isn't it? Also, I just realised I can potentially put out a video where I just check out the relic weapons. I've just got, okay, revenue opportunity, even though I don't get any revenue. Anyway, let's move on for this topic because I'm just fucking fed up of it. Fuck around with Born Zodiac weapons. So let's talk about that. The Christmas being the next thing to fucking disappear. Because let's be honest, it probably will at some point. And it's kind of crazy to think about because you won't really think of it as disappearing or going out of fashion. But the way I see it, the more we head for a dystopia and the less we're about giving to people, the less likely it is that we're going to continue it. And admittedly, I don't celebrate Christmas anyway because, again, I'm living in this dystopia with all of you, by the way. And I can't afford gifts for every fucking person on the planet. And even then, I'd rather just give my money to charity, give it to strangers, because I know these people in my life. I know how to talk to them like family and whatnot. And there's actually no need for gifts. Even then, the nicest gifts that you can even get for the people in my family that I can even think of, like I think of one person, like, I don't know, maybe my mum, I don't know. But without sharing too many details, I do know specific things I can get, but I don't know exactly the right thing to get, and that's the problem. Because if I get something that's even slightly off, slightly wrong, it's just like, oh, a small gift, and I won't get fucking burnt for it, but, you know, if you get what I mean, there's like buying a box of chocolates and it's a flavour that they don't like. That's already pretty much sold everything. So that's a bad thing. But also when it comes to people who are much older, and this seems to be a common thing I think, it's even harder to buy because most things are quite modern and some things are oversimplified. That's the other thing, even though elderly people can struggle at times, sometimes things are oversimplified and still complicated. And it just makes sense to just get the thing that's more complicated. I'm trying to think of something like maybe some sort of puzzle thing or model ship set. That's just what I'm thinking of. So obviously, yeah, people are going to just go out of fashion with Christmas, I think. And it is something that I think will go away in time. Because it is a capitalist holiday for starters. There are already many places exploiting that fact. And that's going to cause many problems. As it always has been. As it always will. And there's a reason, rather, that it seems like a lot of places seem to stock up before Christmas, like back in even October. And that's pretty much why. It's because there's a holiday where they can exploit that, they can bring something new out, make people think, oh yeah, let's just get that because it's new. But I don't really think about the implications of it. Like when I see a new sort of vegetable burger or something, or even just the same fake fucking meat alternative every year from, say, Tesco, I'm just bored of it. I know what it's going to taste like, so I just don't bother anymore. They don't do anything different. Like the only thing they did this year, if I'm not mistaken, is they did vegan mozzarella sticks, which is fascinating. I do want to try them. That's sort of how they get you as well. You know, it isn't just presents, it's food. So they get you with that. But with presents as well, they could just knock up the prices and just fucking fuck you over with that. So it's never worth buying presents anymore. Even then, people are happy with money. But that's even hard to do because if everyone gives each other money, it's like, oh, you gave me more than you did. Well, at that point, you might as well just keep it. Because you get into that sort of debate. It's so just dystopian, the fact that, one, we're losing the fact that Christmas is dying, and two, the fact that everyone pretty much is at the mercy of a currency system, which is also the other issue I have, because I don't agree with the currency system. I don't think I ever have, because there should be, again, fair trade, fair sort of things involved in that. Like, people should be able to work what they can. And the problem with currency is we rely on it so much that people have essentially exploited it for the worst. Which is why we have billionaires and whatever's companies just destroying the planet. They don't give a shit about the planet. They only care about number go up. Literally. That's why we're in this situation to begin with. That's why it's a capitalist holiday. That's why many things throughout the year are a capitalist holiday. And not even worth celebrating. Even with the meaning there being well and true. It's just not worth it anymore. There's literally no point. So, yeah, I do not celebrate Christmas, and I don't even really celebrate my birthday either. There's no point. The only thing I need to know about that is I've gone a year older each year. It doesn't really matter other than that. Trying to think what else. I guess I could talk about Christmas plans. I don't really have anything in mind. Just seeing family for a brief time and that's it. I think before that though, I have an interesting plan. Because it can be a bit rough just cooking before Christmas. There was a bit of stress we used to anyway when we used to get gifts for each other. We don't anymore as a family anyway. But one of the traditions we had was basically getting something for Christmas Eve, like a takeaway, and having that the next day for Christmas Day. And that way we just don't bother with cooking. It's just a day where you can just relax, enjoy gifts. Because every year is now different, it's been a bit different, and my sort of plan for this year is to get a takeaway on the 23rd. And the reason is because I'm seeing family on 2 days of this year. The last bit of the year, rather. I might as well just treat myself, and I might as well do it in the non-busiest hour. That way I have leftovers on the day that people will be busy ordering takeaways. Even if people can afford it, that is. That's something I didn't actually consider, but yeah. I rarely get takeaways anyway now. It's just not something I do anymore. And I'm also a bit worried about it because of my OCD. It's like who pissed in the, I don't know, curry or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's always that worry that dirty hands are touching it was cross-contamination. I don't think there's much avoiding it, which is how I'm able to tolerate it in the end. Yeah, my plan is actually to get it on the 23rd so I can have something for the 24th. Do less cooking, also make a lunch for the 23rd as well. So I'm also preparing ahead. I always do this anyway with food. Always make enough for this second day. Yeah. There's not really much else to talk about, I don't think. So let's move on. Fuck is a stop recording button there? This just suddenly came up because I was thinking of it. But for some reason everyone thinks they have the right opinion, but do they actually have it right? That is my response. Because when we talk about it and right, we're of course talking about the fact rather than the opinion. Because it isn't a matter of whether the opinion is correct or not, because that's always subjective. It's a matter of whether the information you have about it, what essentially made you form it, is correct in itself. And this all ties into the thing I said earlier about having a sort of official or law that's international that basically makes you required to understand these topics before you can even begin putting policies on it. Like for example, cybersecurity. We've got this big problem in the UK again where mass surveillance is being pushed for some reason and no obvious reason why. Like, it's dangerous as fuck. It can literally kill people. It can literally dox people, so it's dangerous. So people pushing these laws should be forced to go into cybersecurity and learn the ins and outs of it before they start pushing it. Otherwise they're not fit for it. You shouldn't be pushing this sort of shit. Because you have no clue what it's about, you have no clue what happened to it, the consequences, how to actually install it, for example. It's just a clusterfuck. There is never anything good to come off that. It's come with a lack of, or just rather ignorance of these things. So it's just extremely dangerous. I just can't wrap my head around why people would do that. It seriously does not make any sense. Like Jesus Christ. Yeah, like Jesus Christ. Why not? No. I am serious about this, really. Because you do need to be aware of this stuff. And not being aware is already in itself a controversial thing. It's already causing problems. Because you're suddenly putting out these ideas about something that may or may not be true. If they end up not being true, you have to pay for the consequences of that. Literally, whether it's financially or ethically, there has to be some way. Again, it's why the justice system fails all the time. You literally need this shit, because you probably won't survive without it. Anyway, I think I've said enough on that. It's just something that came to mind, but I do think this is true. Again, opinions are quite detached to whether you actually understand the topic at hand. That's really important. And I can't stress that enough. So let's move on. So I might have just met my match in my metal covers. Because I'm so used to very linear songs and just things that tell the story, songs that tell the story of tracks, whatever you name it or call it, whatever. And this recent one that I'm trying is just almost impossible. It's so difficult, I have to sort of rewrite it. That's how hard it is. And because of that, it's turned into something different, but something good. But the track, for anyone curious, it's not a teaser. Radiohead, Everything in Its Right Place. I know what you're thinking. What the fuck? Why? When? Where? Who? And to answer all that, yes. But the thing for that is, the thing with that rather, is that it's a cover unlike anything I've ever done before, because this is really sort of dark. This track is dark, just goes without saying. And you've probably heard it, even if you don't sort of don't know it by name. You've almost definitely heard of it. But what fascinates me with this is it's got so many different time signatures and timings going on. It's just so, I wouldn't say it's like a good composition. Well, it's a good composition, I mean, but it's bad structure. When we're talking about structure in music, we're talking about how you glue everything together. And we're talking like your usual 4/4, 4/4 sort of time signature and then timings in between that. And sometimes it can go off the rails a bit, but this track just fucking broke me. I literally spent all day, because I had to figure this out to stop my mind worrying about it, about making it work. It's just insane that I'll try and open it back up, there shouldn't be much in there actually. But Jesus, like, it goes from 2/4 in the intro to 4/4. And then it goes 4/4 to 2/4 after that bar, and then to 4/4 again. Although I've simplified it, and it's not actually 4/4 2/4. I don't think. I think it's actually 5/4. I'm not sure where people got this calculation from exactly. I could be wrong again. I'm not a music theory person, but 5/4 seemed to fix all the timing issues that I had and get everything into place. Although 10/4 is technically a better one than I use now. Just waiting for it to open. Come on. Yeah, I tried to make it in the style of Architect, for anyone curious, but there's also a bit of other stuff in that. Other inspiration, sort of. Not exactly. But it's mainly inspired by Architects, because that's the feeling I got from this, and I use Gravedigger as a sort of reference for this. Gravedigger or Architects, yeah, why not? Yeah, that's one of the biggest sort of inspirations for this track. Let's cover, rather. Yeah, like, this is difficult. I was due to make a game soundtrack, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check my channel. How do I check my channel? Because they keep changing this on YouTube. There we go, view your channel. No, not welcome to my channel. It's my own channel. So it's game. Game. So I'll do like 3 games and then something else. And a game. I didn't realise the last one was the one before that was Streets of Rage. Don't really remember that. Yeah. Before that is real life, yeah. So actually it's correct that I'm due to make one. And make a different track. It's not bad. It's open now. If it doesn't crash. Sometimes it does this, it opens immediately and crashes immediately. Like a fucking dum-dum. Yeah, thanks FL Studio for being so reliable all these years, for the 5 years I've been using you, and crashing for no fucking reason when you can't load a VST properly. Right, well, just why? I'm gonna have to pause this. I'll do it. Oh, there we go, done it now. So in the patterns themselves, for some reason I split. Oh yeah, I split them because I didn't like the structure of a chorus I made. So skipped on that. Let's see. So 4/4 2/4 for some reason I'll do. Then just leave 2/4 there. And it does it sort of sync up? Let me check. Kinda. But not very well. Maybe the later one is actually 5/4. I could be mistaken that. Yeah, it's like the bars. The problem is in FL Studio, the columns, they're black and white, sort of, with grey and black, technically speaking, or however you call it. Every 4 time signatures, like, it's bad. It's got a terrible fucking interface. So let's do 5/4 on that again. Set Tim's signature. Tim's signature is 5/4 and that does work. That fits everything in. I'm not sure why that works though, that's confusing me. There's a part that sort of goes to 3/4, which is interesting. No, it's just my mistake. If I delete that, it's in sync again. There we go. So time signatures are correct. Yes, that seems to fix it. It's interesting. And I'm going to chorusy sounding bit, I decided to sync it up to the time signature that I'm hearing. And what I've got is it's during the part where he's sucking a lemon for some reason. 9/8 to 4/4 to 6/4 to 9/8 to 6/4 again to 5/4 to 13/8. I spent all day doing this to 12/8. And then back into the normal riffs. Yeah, it's been difficult. Not gonna fucking lie. It's been really hard to beat this. Just trying to get to work, and that's the biggest problem. It's just so difficult to time. I think my edits to it make it better. And there's also an issue with the MIDI that I got, I think. Well, maybe it is correct actually, like something that goes out of sync at some point, I'm not sure how, because the BPM is 124. But it seems to go out of sync somewhere, and after this bit it just goes weird. But there's like, not 16ths, but they're all 8ths, so that's how you know it's sort of an 8th time signature. And it sort of works, and I figured out there was a syncing issue in this part with the weird 9/8s and in the 13/8 and 12/8 here. Turns out I got it wrong, and so I fixed the rhythms and it works. And that's onto normal riffs again. I just need to figure out how to sync these, because there's an issue with these as well. It's quite a task, and actually I think I'm going to need to remove this. Fuck's sake, I need to remove the rhythm. Just rewrite it, because it's just so fucked up at this point. So that's still F. That's still an F. Yeah, there we go. I kind of fixed it. Yeah, and also just the chord progression itself is not that hard, but it does seem to go places, for lack of a correct term. Kind of crazy. Yeah, I think I'm on it though. I've got it working now. And also it has key change in this other bit as well, the time signature, I've noticed. Because it sort of goes from these chords with what is it, let's see. Like G and D sharp don't appear in, they do appear in the normal stuff, but in this it changes to E. I think, is it? Yeah, E at the end at least. Then again, D sharp does appear, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It just seems to be the transition. See, it's a very fucking weird composition. I'm trying to make sense of it and I can't. Like, what the hell is going on with this? It is so difficult. It's easily the most challenging one I've done yet. It's more challenging than something like Ink Long Dry, which I fucked up, to be honest. Didn't realise there was a version of it that was more in sync, but there we go. I might come back to it, I'm not sure yet. Yeah, it's just frustrating. Anyway, I think I'll move on to this topic. There's the little teaser. After 3 months of what feels like non-stop use of these Megalomania P100 headphones, somehow I remember the name, they're starting to go weird. But in a strange way that I wouldn't really expect it to. Because I have no idea how the system works, but the pause and play when you essentially take them off and put them on is really handy. But that has changed recently. It's now becoming a bit of a nuisance for some reason. So I don't know what's going on there. Like, I can't even figure it out, and I literally threw the headphones back onto the desk like the other day after taking them off because I don't know what was causing it. And then I went AFK, come back and saw the video was fucking playing. Like, this is stupid. There needs to be a way to stop this. I'm wearing these headphones 24/7 and these shouldn't be doing that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I have no idea what's going on there. It's very strange. yeah, I want a way to sort of disable it because this shit is annoying. You know, if I need to go to the toilet, for example, which I do tend to need to in the mornings, then I need to be able to throw this off, not have the video autoplay, especially going to the next one, and lose my place in it. Like, it just really removes that convenience aspect. And you know, there are better ways to have it work. Basically, an alternative to autoplaying and pausing is a button on the top of it, on the headband. Easy fix. And you solve the problem where headphones have this annoying aspect where they put them on the side, but where you're holding them anyway, you should be holding them either by the outer bits, always the outer bits anyway. But for me, I think I can hold them by the headband too, and so having something like that could be really handy. It's like get into a habit of taking it off, pressing the button, it's problem solved. So it doesn't even need to be necessarily automated, it just needs to be better designed. I think that's all that's needed. Anyway, that's the first issue I've encountered this, which is surprising. I didn't really expect it. Yeah, so there we go. It doesn't change my view, I still think it's quite positive, even with this very glitchy feature at times. But yeah, hopefully they can iron it out. I don't know what they could do though. So, I just finished watching the Blood on the Clock Towers in real life by the YOGSCAST. There are 2 episodes out as of making this, so obviously things can change, but yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm only halfway through the behind the scenes, which is quite entertaining so far. I am a member of the not a member of the YOGSCAST, but you know, I've got YouTube membership for their channel. Got phone. It was actually my dream to become a member of the YOGSCAST as a kid. Luckily I didn't, because I don't think I would have exactly gotten along well, and obviously with my mental health issues, I am pretty much a brand risk to just YOGSCAST image, so nah, I'm better off just being on my own and being bullied by people on the internet, so why not? Yeah, so these Blood on the Clock Towers I've enjoyed in Minecraft. They're often very entertaining but also very interesting. Some crazy plays every now and then. I remember the live one in the Jingle Jam was really entertaining. The moment I saw the teaser for the real life one, I knew it was Blood on the Clock Tower. Got a bunch of people saying like, oh, this is Taskbox. Like, yeah, obviously it's Taskbox or traitors even. But I was thinking, no, because the hottest thing in the YOGSCAST right now, other than trying to think of a joke. No, I'm trying to think of actually someone kind of hot. Tom, I guess, angry Tom. But yeah, the other hottest thing in the YOGSCAST is literally Blood on the Clock Tower, and that's generally, I think, the direction they want to go towards. They did have a brief one last year done in real life, and I think it was last year. Was it Camp York? I think it's Camp York actually. Yeah, it has to have been, because there's no other way that, yeah, they're doing it for the teams. Yeah, not sure how they did that with the points though, that's interesting. But no, this real life one I immediately knew. It's like, yeah, you know, this setting, this vibe, obviously with the channel being so invested in this, it has to be Blood on the Clock Tower, and it was. And I was thrilled to see that it was. And I was very excited to see that this was being made, because I was very curious about how it would work. I initially thought it was to do with like them sleeping around the night, but no, it's just using the place for a set, which is fine, I think. Yeah, after having seen the 2 episodes, I have to say it's very good. I don't really have many complaints. The only thing I will say is, according to like Mark Humes and Ravs on stream, and I think even Kirsty, I think, talked about this briefly. There are parts that are cut out, which is a shame because they seem like they could be really funny. Like, they kept in some of the funny sort of humour that Unleather Hats and Ravs have brought. And some of the others have, like Period as well. It's kind of funny in this. But there are other parts. I remember Mark Sashmara talking about learning a Sabrina Carpenter song in their room, which is amazing. But we didn't even get to see that, which is a shame. I kind of wish we did, and I hope there's like a sort of bonus members video where you get to see the sort of outtakes or bloopers. Or there is bloopers actually, but it's only like 20 minutes long, so I'm not 100% sure. Could be wrong about that. Yeah. So the first episode was very entertaining, going spoilers. I don't actually memorise very well, like the roles and stuff, but just the entire setting, the costumes, the props, and obviously the location itself is just incredible. Yeah, certainly added to it, and I think for the most part it's well recorded. The only thing I'll say is I've noticed on the videos themselves there was a bit of a filter, if I'm not mistaken. Like if I go back, turn like the night light off because I can't see it without. Come on, there we go. There's bullshit again. Yeah, I'm not pretty sure there's like a filter on the night time. Yeah, blue. It's like a blue filter, which is interesting. So trying to mimic like night time. It's kind of clever editing, but also at the same time it's a bit disorienting. Especially when some of the other rooms are not exactly lit up that way. So it's a bit strange to me. Somehow they're able to achieve like a darkness effect in some of them, which is fascinating. I'm not really sure how. Yeah. I definitely think it's entertaining and interesting. It's certainly worth a watch if you like Blood on the Clock Tower. I hope they do more of these, yeah. I prefer these sort of members things to other things like trying food and stuff, because I'm a bit biased against it, given I don't consume animal products and I don't agree with the consumption of animal products. Yeah, the only good reason I've found in my years of avoiding them is actually things you can't avoid, like medication or treatment. Those are the only things. Yeah, I really like this series, and episode 2 was great fun. Just where you sort of see the Ravs and Draw dynamic, which is interesting. Something worth looking at. So what else there is to add, really? Yeah, like, it's also got some interesting twists. This is the other thing that I was just fucking adore about this. It's the fact it allows so much expression because of it being real life. Because of it allowing so much expression, it enables some really interesting moments, hence the mention with like Ralph and Troy, which we'll see in episode 2. I won't spoil it exactly, but there was quite a funny dynamic at the beginning. But yeah, like just seeing everyone come together with obviously all their unique personalities and just the way they act on camera as well. It's just so fascinating, and you don't get that in the Minecraft version. It sort of makes you wish and maybe hope in the future that they could do a similar one, but in just the York's office. Because they've got the bloody recording rooms. They could just set up props there. They could make some meeting rooms or even make some bedrooms. Somehow. Not sure how exactly that might be possible, but it just depends, I think. But all they need to do is just assign a certain day where they can use out all these rooms, and maybe that's possible, I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but it's just a way to play the game and stuff. Because you could also make it interesting, that same, because we've already gone fancy here. Go sci-fi, go cyberpunk even, like, Jesus. That'd be insanely interesting, like a cyberpunk Blood on the Clock Tower. Like, holy crap. I'd love to see that. That's such a unique idea. Yeah, I don't really have anything to complain about. It's super entertaining, it's super fun. So yeah, I recommend you watch it if you haven't. So let's move on. Well, this is my outro for the past code. So thanks for listening.